The sound of the funeral bell still lingered in my ears, a hollow echo that refused to fade. I had expected grief, of course, but not this gnawing emptiness that made even the simplest breath feel like a betrayal. My husband was gone, yet somehow, the world had not stopped for me. The day had been a blur, black suits, wet eyes, whispered condolences, but now in the silence of my small apartment, I felt every fragment of life he had carried with him leave me behind. I tried to steady myself, adjusting the folds of my dress in the mirror. The reflection stared back, pale, hollow-eyed, yet stubbornly upright. Today was supposed to be a step forward, a way to reconnect with life. My sister's son, my nephew, was turning 1. A birthday party might feel like a cruel joke against my mourning, but family insisted, and I couldn't refuse. The hall was decorated with pastel balloons, laughter bouncing off the walls like fragile glass. Parents clutched children, snapping pictures, and I forced a smile that felt like a mask glued too tightly to my face. Then, amid the chaos of toddlers and clinking cutlery, my sister's voice sliced through the chatter. "Everyone, I have an announcement," she called, eyes glinting in the artificial light. I froze mid-step, a balloon slipping from my hand, caught only by the string. The room hushed. She smiled at me too brightly. "My daughter and I have decided that it's time for a new beginning." Something in her words twisted my stomach. A new beginning? I blinked, not quite catching the weight behind them. Then I saw her, standing at the far end of the hall, leaning casually against the wall, laughing softly with someone whose presence made the room shrink in on itself. The recognition hit me like ice water. He was there. My husband's voice, my husband's laugh, though now not quite him. My chest constricted. I didn't want to move. My sister continued, oblivious to the storm in my eyes. "And we've decided to," she paused, taking a breath as if savoring it. "We've decided to be together." Time fractured. The words repeated in my mind, absurd and impossible. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Betrayal, raw and unyielding, dripped from the corners of that sentence. Memories collided violently, his late-night phone calls, the sudden tension when I entered rooms, the excuses that now seemed absurd. I had rationalized, I had convinced myself I was imagining things. And all along, he had been betraying me in the quietest, cruelest way possible. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but I felt a stranger's weight pressing down on me. A hand on my shoulder. My sister, her warmth a knife in my chest. "It's okay. You'll understand one day," she whispered, her tone soft, almost mocking. I stumbled backward, my mind a whirlwind. Every argument we had, every small tiff, every laugh we shared. Was it all a lie? The image of him lying in our bed that morning, the soft smile on his face, haunted me. Had he known this was coming? Had he plotted our future without me while I mourned him? I left the hall without a word, the hum of conversation swallowing my sobs. Outside, the night had settled with its indifferent quiet. The cold air hit my face like a slap, and I pressed my hands to my eyes, trying to hold back tears that burned and stung. The betrayal was not just in the act. It was in the timing, in the cruelty of revealing it on a day meant for celebration. Days passed in a fog. I replayed the scene in my mind, searching for signs I had missed. And there they were. The subtle glances, the whispered messages, the excuses that had once sounded reasonable. My love had been blind, my trust absolute, and yet the foundation of everything I believed had crumbled beneath me. I confronted him. No, confronted the image of him I thought I knew. Through the messages, the shared photos, the undeniable proof. His words were smooth, almost rehearsed. He had loved me, he said, in his way. Life had moved forward, and so had he. And in that instant, I realized that love, however deep, does not make betrayal less sharp. Weeks later, I returned to my apartment alone. The echoes of that birthday party lingered like a shadow I could not escape. I traced my fingers over the table where we had shared our morning coffee, over the chair he always sat in. And for the first time since the funeral, I allowed myself to feel it all. The grief, the anger, the hollow ache that whispered I had been replaced. The betrayal had shattered me, yes, but it had also illuminated a truth I had avoided. I had clung to a life that was no longer mine. And in the cold, quiet spaces of my apartment, I made a promise, not of revenge, not of anger, but of survival. I would live, not for him, not for the life we had imagined, but for me. And though the memory of that night would haunt me forever, I knew something unbreakable had been forged in its pain. I would never forget the betrayal, but I would also never forget the strength it had awakened in me. The shadows of love and loss coexisted in me now, a reminder that even in the deepest heartbreak, a part of you can still endure. And sometimes, endurance is the most profound form of revenge.